Steam Deck isn't loved because it's easy. It's loved because at some point, gaming stopped feeling personal, and the friction made it yours. That sounds backwards, but it's the whole reason this thing works. Think about when gaming started to feel off. Too many updates, too many launches, too many optimal settings videos before you even start a game. Everything got smoother and somehow less satisfying. You weren't playing anymore, you were maintaining. So when people complain about the Steam Deck's friction, I get it. It doesn't just work. You have to think, you have to choose. Sometimes you even have to fix things. But here's the part people miss. That friction isn't accidental. Too little friction makes devices disposable. You pick them up, you swipe, you forget them. Too much friction makes devices exhausting. They feel like chores. They fight you. But the Steam Deck sits in this strange middle space. It asks just enough of you. You tweak the setting, you change a control layout, you decide which games live on it and which ones don't. Slowly, without noticing, something shifts. This isn't a Steam Deck anymore. It's your Steam Deck. And once that happens, the device stops being replaceable. That's why perfectly smooth devices don't stick. They're impressive, they're polished, they're forgettable. When everything is done for you, nothing feels of you. There's no investment, no memory, no attachment. Effort creates memory, and struggle creates stories. You remember the game that didn't launch and the moment you finally got it running. You remember the first time you docked it and thought, this actually works. You remember the first time you pressed the quick access button and dived into some tinkering. Those moments matter more than specs. And no, this doesn't mean friction is always good. Bad friction is just bad design. But intentional friction, that's where ownership lives. It forces you to participate. This is why the Steam Deck clicked immediately with PC gamers. They weren't shocked by the friction. They recognized it. PC gaming has always been about trade-offs. Performance versus battery, settings versus stability, control versus convenience. The Steam Deck didn't remove that culture. It compressed it into something you could hold in your hands. Compare that to something like the Switch. Nintendo personalizes through choices they give you. Colors, editions, themes. That's fine. And it works. But it's still surface level. With the Steam Deck, the personalization isn't cosmetic. It's behavioral. Two identical Steam Decks can feel completely different because they're shaped by different decisions. Imagine every human on Earth wearing the same clothes. Same colour, same cut, same material. What would actually distinguish them? Not the outfit, their behaviour, their habits, and their personality. The Steam Deck works the same way. It doesn't need to look different because it becomes different through use. This is why people defend the Steam Deck so fiercely. Not because it's perfect, not because it's powerful, but because it represents their choices. Criticizing it feels personal because it is. 4 years in, Newer devices exist. Cleaner devices exist. Faster devices exist. And yet people still reach for this one. Not out of habit, out of connection. The Steam Deck didn't win hearts by removing friction. It won by choosing the right amount of it. Enough to slow you down, enough to involve you, enough to make it yours. And once a device becomes personal, you don't replace it easily. You don't optimize it away. You don't forget it. You remember how it fit into your life at a time when gaming needed to feel human again. And that's the point. I'm Dark Soul, and if you like this sort of content, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.